Welcome back to another No More Future, and yeah, man, that's it. Just don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share to friends and loved ones. You know the drill, everybody. Yeah, let's get back to the game. It appears a young kid reached out to touch your hand while you weren't looking, dragging a middle-aged lady with him as he did so. His eyes sparkle with curiosity and excitement, whereas his guardian is anything but. Fearing that you might have somehow hurt him without realizing it while chatting nonchalantly with your friend, you try to reason with the elderly woman. Sorry, are you all right? Oh, get away from that thing already, Billy! Okay, I thought I missed something. Without another word, the lady grabs her teary-eyed child and storms off, not deigning you with another moment of her time as her kid screams at the top of his lungs. So I'm like double checking. You stand still in the middle of the sidewalk, stunned as the people around you eagerly record the incident that just occurred. You can only hope they caught more than just the aftermath of that drama as you try to process what just happened in your mind. Well, that was awkward. Natalie tries to make light of the situation, but you're in no mood for that. That was normal. Total lack of explanation and everything. Most people see me as nothing more than radioactive waste and the rest. You take a brief look around you, your annoyed gaze unnerving the bystanders nearby. Not too long after, everyone is back to their regular lives as if nothing happened, while still keeping an eye or two locked onto you. Gosh, what a jerk! Didn't even explain what her deal was, and all these clowns taking pictures like it's nothing are annoying too. Now it's the Labrador's turn to let her emotions run wild. Not that you can blame her. Between this just now and yesterday in the train, she's had plenty of opportunities to see what people really think of synthetics like you. Well, get used to them until you guys can convince the world that I'm human. I suspect we'll see plenty more people like that. Ah, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It's alright, I don't blame you for getting worked up over this or anything. Still, in spite of your attempts at following your own advice, you can't help but feel a little fearful over what just happened. God, I really hope he doesn't react like that as well. Huh? What do you mean? Nothing. It's nothing. Your friend clearly doesn't buy it. Come on! What's bothering you? Nothing. I might as well say it. I guess I'm just worried about how George might react to seeing me like this is all. I know I'm probably worrying over nothing, but you sigh as you wonder how to best explain your fear, which is as irresistible to you as it is mysterious. I think you're probably still a little shook from that lady and her antics, all things considered. But you shouldn't be worrying like that. Your cousin sounded ecstatic upon learning you're synthetic. I'm sure he'll welcome you with open arms. I know, he reacted positively when he found out about it, but will he react positively when we actually meet as well? There's a big difference between your thoughts on something that you've only seen in the news and something you can actually see with your own eyes. Oh, I worry that once the illusion breaks and he sees me for what I really am, he might react the same as these jerks. Come on, have some faith in him. He's her family. Oh, well, the good part of her family anyway. He went through all these lengths just to meet you. I'm sure he won't turn his back on you now, even if you look a little different from before. You can feel a phantom tear fall down your cheek as you reply to your friend's kind, reassuring words. Are you sure about that? Positive. Everything's gonna be alright. You have my guarantee. Heh. I'll take that. With a newfound smile on your face, you continue your downtown trek, making sure to no longer bump into other people by accident as you do. Even as the streets start to lose their sense of familiarity and you begin traveling through previously uncharted territory, you never let go of your hope that what you'll find at the end of this journey will be worth all the hassle you went through. A good 20 minutes later, you finally reached Tuliper Peak and began the climb to the summit. The area is unfamiliar to you, but it appears to not be commonly traveled at this hour of the day. If these hills could speak, they'd probably be relieved that tourism isn't something the town nearby heavily relies on. Eventually, about half an hour after you first began your trek uphill, you notice an off-beaten path that seemed to lead to a private area. Given that the path was large enough to fit a car and probably more, you decided it would have been a good idea to investigate further. Sometime later, you finally found a secluded villa overlooking the town below at the end of the path. Had you not known it was here, you might have almost missed it, half hidden between its peaceful surroundings as it is. The soothing late autumn colors of both the building and the hills around it put your tired soul at ease, as you gaze upon what seems to be George's new home. So, looks like this is the place. Natalie tries to spark a brief conversation with you, seeing as though you've been lost in thought ever since you first arrived here. What do you think? Does this look like the sort of place you had in mind when you were looking for your relatives in a new hiding spot? I'm not sure about that. You definitely weren't expecting them to hide in plain sight like this. At least, you thought they'd at least move cities, maybe even cross a state line or two. Instead, they stayed right here, almost as if to taunt you. Or maybe they just expected you to look for them elsewhere. You never were good with mind games. Either way, it looks like I can't delay this any further. What do you mean? A sigh as you confess your thoughts to the ever-curious Labrador. I'm talking about my fears, my half-baked ideas of turning tail and running mostly. I've been struggling with those since the call earlier, and there were a couple times along the way where I almost did it for real. But now, there really is no going back. Whether I can stomach it or not, I'm here now, and I have to keep my promise. Agreed. No way you're gonna let your cousin down, right? Plus, even though I doubt anyone would stumble into this place at random, it's still a good idea to get out of the road as fast as you can. If someone were to see you here, they might start spreading rumors, and George's parents might find out about this. Yet another thing you hadn't previously considered. Now you feel doubly a fool for hesitating this much. It's probably a good thing you didn't catch a glimpse of another soul while getting here. But you shouldn't be pushing your luck. Now I really need to get in. Yup. Well, the doorbell is right there. Good luck. Without giving you the opportunity to even wave her goodbye, Natalie suddenly interrupts the call, likely hoping we'll get this reunion started a little bit faster this way. Seeing as there's a little point in further words or thoughts, you uncertainly walk. Wait, are we recording? Yes, we are. Oh my goodness, man, that scared the life out of me. Okay, hoping we'll get this a little bit faster this way. Okay. Seeing as there's little point in further words or thoughts, you uncertainly walk forward towards the door, trying to keep your mind calm and silent as you do. As you press the button on the intercom outside, however, keeping your fears and worries chained up proves much harder than originally expected. Though irrational these fears may be, you cannot stop yourself from second-guessing your every choice because of them. Even now, you're tempted to simply head back and run as far away as you can, as per their wish. After all, it's not like you have to do this. In fact, you don't have to do this. Why are you even doing this? You thought you knew the answer back when Daphne confronted you about it last night, but now you're no longer so sure. Bradbury's words from earlier in the morning resurface in your head, ever ready to taunt you for your indecisiveness. Can you truly face George as you are now, when you're not even sure of who or what you are? Can you truly allow him to feel joy upon seeing your face, to feel glad that you finally returned, if you don't even know whether you're deceiving him or not? The doubts keep piling in your mind, overpowering your every hopeful thought, and it's only a matter of time before they finally come crumbling awaiting voice identification. You freeze in place as you hear an AI's voice question you from the intercom. C grade? How the F did they afford that? You don't even have time to question that as you hear the voice perk up once again. Attempt number 2, awaiting voice identification. If you are an authorized user, please enter the correct password. As your head scrambles for a solution, you hear a resolute voice advisor from the back of your head. Isaac, stay calm. If it hears you say something it doesn't like, it might alert your relatives, or worse. Nats? We didn't expect her to be back so soon, but given the circumstances, we're glad to know you don't have to brave this unforeseen complication on your own. It's okay, Isaac, as long as you keep quiet, it won't... Voice identification not received. Warning, please provide identification or the police will be notified. The police? As if this couldn't get any worse. Nat, any ideas? Panic? That's not a solution, it's anything but. You have 5 seconds. It's not a solution, it's my state of mind. Oh gosh, Mary's gonna kill me. Nats, this isn't the right time for this. You have 3 seconds. Do I stay quiet? Do I speak up? How do I get out of this? I don't know. Maybe we could try hacking to the intercom? It's too late for that. At this rate, You have one... One what? The AI never clarifies as it suddenly stops in the middle of its tracks, leaving you dumbfounded yet terrified. Did it lose interest in you somehow? Are you in the clear, or did it already send that automated warning to the cops? That's when you hear the door creak open as a mischievous looking grin pops out from within the house. Phew, that was a close one. Didn't I tell you to call me when you got here so I could help you with Sharon? A young, chipper gazelle stands in the space between the porch and the living room, right on the edge of the door frame. He's a few inches taller than you remember him for sure, and his attire is completely unlike his personal style, but there's no doubt in your mind. It truly is our cousin smiling brightly at you right now. You should probably be feeling something akin to relief upon seeing his face after so long, but given what just transpired, your feelings are a little more complicated than that. You never told me anything of the sort, you dingus. The gazelle awkwardly looks at the ceiling as he realizes you've called his bluff. Oh, right. Guess I kinda forgot. Probably because I was so excited to see you again and everything. That's about as often as an excuse as it gets, and yet it tugs at your heartstrings nevertheless. You probably shouldn't let him off the hook so easily, though knowing yourself, that's exactly what you'll end up doing in the end. What do you think about this? You notice that George has finally stopped looking elsewhere and is now staring at you straight in the eyes, or whatever has since replaced them. As he moves his gaze up and down, inspecting every nook and cranny of your new body, his flustered cheeks begin to glow a bright red. You've really grown since the last time I saw you, huh? It's not me who got big, it's you who got short. And everyone and everything else. Yeah, right. Still as easy to tease as ever, I see. Now you're blushing, too. At least on the inside. Out of all the ways you thought this reunion would make you feel, you didn't imagine awkward would be on the list. And yet, in spite of how embarrassing his words have made you, the sight of her cousin standing before you makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, nevertheless. It really has been too long. Man, it feels like yesterday when you looked so not like that. But now look at you, you're like a whole new person, a much cooler person to boot. I was cool before I died too, you know. And besides, is that really what you're supposed to say after all this time? The gazelle laughs off your half-serious concerns as he invites you to step inside. Come on, you can yell at me all you want from the living room. That way Sharon won't listen if it somehow gets back to the intercom. Now that's a scary thought, scary enough to overcome your embarrassment and force you to awkwardly stumble into George's place. All you can hope for is that your cousin's confidence in your safety isn't entirely unfounded as you cross the entrance into the large mansion. The living room is large, spacious, but mostly empty. Save for a sofa, a video screen, and a few cabinets, this house is practically brand new. Even the kitchen, from what little you can see, seems rather under-equipped. Given George and his parents have been living here for about 3 weeks now, you imagine their place to be far more furnished than it currently is. As you pass by George while heading in, you feel an icy breeze suddenly caress your arm. The temperature inside the house, from what you can gather, is several degrees below what you'd consider adequate for the current time of the year, though George obviously doesn't mind it in the slightest. The fact that even you could distinctly feel that instant drop in temperature a few moments ago is most definitely not a good sign. As you gaze back at your cousin, you find him awkwardly trying to re-engage you in conversation. Not much, is it? Yeah, my parents are still not done arranging for all the new furniture to arrive and fill the blanks across the house. We got some basic stuff already in place, but right now this feels more like an empty trailer than an actual house. Yikes! What happened to all your old stuff? All sold off somewhere. The way he answers your question quickly and without even a hint of sarcasm takes you completely by surprise. What? No way! What about your belongings, your vintage trading cards, your console? Gone. Reduced to atoms. You feel a seething rage building up within you as you look straight into George's dejected eyes. You can't be serious. They didn't even let you keep the stuff I gifted you? Nope. They got rid of everything in the name of leaving no trace. Did they explain what the heck they meant by that? No, because I wasn't even supposed to hear that. And yet, they were adamant that we just had to throw our old life in the trash and relocate here right after your funeral for no apparent reason. I was already real mad, you know, but now that I know why they did it, I'm even more mad and furious. Like my life wasn't already hell enough without those two purposely making me hate everything even more. The gazelle heads straight towards the couch where he crashes into one of the pillows on the side as he shouts something unintelligible. Not wanting him to keep all his anger bubbled up inside him, you follow him to the couch where the temperature seems to have dropped even further. You slowly sit next to him, resting your hand on his chilly back in an attempt to comfort him. Do you want to talk about it? Upon hearing your warm, inviting voice whisper in his ear, the boy slowly picks himself up. As he quietly lets go of the pillow and rests it on his legs, you distinctively notice that the side he screamed into earlier is now covered in a thick layer of hoarfrost. Before you can inquire further about it, George gets up and starts walking back and forth before you, his voice now more akin to a shout than a whisper. Like, forget about the funeral and the sudden house change for a moment. Did you know my parents also signed me up for a remote learning program? No way, weren't they always against that kind of thing? They were, until they suddenly weren't. So after we got here, they were all like, "You're gonna have to study from home for a while." And I was like, how do I do that? I literally never tried this before, and also what the hell is happening? Then they were like, "You'll figure it out, baby. Also, you're grounded." Not like it even matters. I mean, I was already pretty much locked in here every day, right? Uh-huh. And you'd think this is already pretty effed up, but no. Turns out my parents changed my school as well, so now I'm in a whole new class with teachers and classmates I don't know. In the middle of the school year? You'll figure it out, baby. So yeah, get this. My grades plummeted, big shock. Then after my last math exam, my teacher had the gall to ask me why the hell did I suck so bad. I told him, you know, it's pretty messed up that it's hard to concentrate on your studies when your cousin just died and stuff. Well, not like that, but you get the point. And you know what he said? What? That's cool and all, but you should still focus on your. That's cool and all, but you should focus on something because that's what your cousin would have wanted. Oh my god, that's messed up. I know, right? That's BS. Well, it's not like you said that what I told you word for word, but I get the point. So what did you do? I told him to back off and to go ask you if he was so sure of that. But like, not like that, right? Oh yeah, like that, word for word. So yeah, he lowered my grade even further and then snitched on my parents, real classy like. And then the two jackasses punished me by locking me in the house. Which again, I was already locked into anyway. Not much they can do to hurt you now, is there? Pretty much. Well, what about your classmates? Found any new friends at this school? Oh, don't even get me started on those new classmates, alright? They're the worst. I thought my old buddies were boring and lame, but these dudes, they're on a whole nother level. Everybody pretty much knows each other from kindergarten, so there's only one huge mega cliche or make a clique instead of many small groups. And obviously I'm the last one in, so you can tell how they treat me. But then the rare few times we do hang out in a call or whatever, they just talk about the lamest stuff possible. Like what? They talk about ebooks and bands, but only the ones that literally everyone's talking about anyway. They always agree about everything. Sometimes they even talk about school stuff. Isn't that normal? No! They talk about it like adults do, like upcoming exams or what they're gonna be studying in college, and they never complain about anything. No, this teacher is a B-word, no sarcastic. I wish they could give us more homework or even a random man. I wish I had an ability that let me grow big as hell and wreck this place. It's like they're effing robots or something. No offense. None taken. I'm not a robot to begin with. At least not literally, I think. Still, that sounds dreadful. Doesn't seem like the kind of people you can talk about your favorite video games with. Like, there are a few of them that sometimes mention video games, yeah, but get this. Every time they open their mouth about them, all they ever talk about is how excited they are for the upcoming installment of Zombie Sniper. Oh, I hear the 15th installment is gonna have 4D meta-realistic pseudo-liminal graphics that'll met reality itself, blah blah blah. I bet it's gonna have over 32 waves of DLC. I'm so excited. It's like they don't know anything else. Every time they open their mouth, it's always Zombie Sniper this, Zombie Sniper that. Yeah, Zombie Sniper. I swear to God, if I hear anyone talk about that game again. The Gazelle's rant lasts a few more minutes, his arms moving all over the place as he describes his problems in minute minute details actually. His explanation becomes harder to follow with each passing moment, but you can do your best to keep up. After some more time spent arguing about progressively stranger things, George takes a final sigh as he lets himself fall into the couch back first, his eyes now tiredly staring at the ceiling. Seeing as he appears to be done for the time being, you decide to give him a couple encouraging pats on his shoulder in an effort to comfort him. I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. It really does sound like hell. Truth be told, many of the things he told you about are outside your realm of expertise entirely. A few of them didn't even sound like real groundbreaking issues as much as his tone purported them to be. But the anger, pain, and sadness on his face as he recounted this time without you are all real. And by now you've learned that not every problem has the same impact on everybody. Your cousin especially. It'd be easy to scoff at his ridiculous claims, offer some meaningless advice, or promise a meager hope, but you more than anyone know these things hurt more than they help. You know your cousin well enough to notice that the only thing he needs right now is your patience and understanding. Is there something else you want to talk about? You're still shivering. The Gazelle kneels forward with his head and holds it between his trembling hands, letting out periodic bursts of hot air from his mouth as he struggles to keep his composure. Do you have any idea how long I've waited to tell someone this stuff? Tell anyone this stuff? Even if you had time to answer, you're too stunned to even think of a reply. All this time, I had to keep quiet, pretend like I was fine when I wasn't. I mean, who was I gonna tell? My parents who get defensive and start blaming me every time I so much complain about the weather? My father's relatives whose names I don't even remember from how little I see them. Maybe your other uncle and aunt would have listened, but they've been gone ever since the funeral. Effed off to some Eurasian country or another, never to be seen again. No. I've been alone. Alone with my thoughts. Alone with my problems. Alone with my regrets. Tears fall from George's eyes, one after another. Like a river in the midst of a storm. They only threaten to grow in size and number each passing moment. How could you do this to me, Isaac? How could you leave me when I needed you most? You said you'd be fine, that you'd come back in a week or so, that I had nothing to fear. And then before I knew it, you were dead, and I could do nothing about it. George! The cracks in his voice are now too loud to hide anymore, and the torrent spewing from his lips is all but unstoppable. The color in his hair begins to fade as his rage intensifies further and further. You can only tremble in your seat as you listen to your cousin's every blood-chilling word. Can you imagine what it was like to one day wake up and find out you died overnight? That while I was off sleeping and having some random dream about forgetting my bag at home right before a big exam, you went and disappeared forever? That while I was dozing off, you went and lost everything. George, it's not your fault. You try to console him as best as you can, but in doing so you realize that your own voices began to crack under all the pressure. Oh sorry, every word he speaks cuts into you like 1,000 blades, and yet you do not hate him for it. As you listen to George's heartfelt rant, all you can think about is how badly you deserve this. I tried, I swear I tried. I tried so hard to stay strong in spite of everything, to keep on smiling just like you would have wanted. But how was I supposed to do that without you? How was I supposed to keep going without you? I was so scared, okay? And sad, and the gazelle keeps wheezing in the midst of talking, his every word now coming out only through a senseless amount of effort and fatigue. It's hard to discern whether it's because of the freezing cold, his damaged emotional state, or a combination of both. And you were, and I was... Aww. Before you even realize it, you have your arms wrapped tightly around the young man's chest, holding his freezing body next to yours as tightly as can be while you rest your weary head on his own. Braving the cold, braving the fear, you finally say what you should have told him as soon as your gazes crossed on the porch outside. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for leaving you, George. I'm sorry for everything. Even you find it hard to keep your words unbroken and your message coherent as you apologize. Though you try to be strong for your cousin, you feel as though you're very close to your breaking point as well. I never wanted to lie to you. I never wanted to abandon you. I know I couldn't keep my last promise to you, but I swear I'll never leave you again. You hear more heavy wheezing and sniffing as the gazelle cries into your chest. You promise? I do. I do. You won't leave me again? I won't. Never. The sobbing and crying continues, though a brief sigh of relief does come out of your cousin's mouth as he relaxes his body and leans even more heavily into you. You can still feel all the places where George's words cut into you like knives, and the suffering those wounds still cause. As the two of you hold each other close, you hope that this is the last time either of you will have to suffer like this. Over the next few minutes spent waiting patiently in silence, both of you considerably calmed down. Your breathing steadied and your brace grew lighter, and yet you can tell that the gazelle is still feeling quite anxious deep within. Now that you're feeling a little better, but I ask you to tone your ability down a tad. I know it doesn't faze you as much as others, but I doubt this cold will do you any good if you keep it up. Oh, so sorry. George takes a few steps back from you and closes his eyes, trying his best to concentrate as he stabilizes his breathing. Soon you can feel the temperature around you begin to stabilize and even diminish as he goes about doing whatever it is he's doing. You never quite understood how these things work. Although he can't directly make the room any hotter, he can definitely stop making it colder. The abnormal breeze should fade on its own in a few minutes anyway. That was a little embarrassing. I didn't even realize. I didn't mean to. It's okay, you didn't hurt me if that's what you're worried about. I am an android after all. I've bigger problems to worry about than a little frost and snow. I just hope you didn't somehow catch a cold without realizing it. What? Nah, come on Isaac, who do you take me for? An overconfident teen, of course? It's not like it'd be the first time something like that has happened. I'm not overconfident, I'm just cocky. That word is nowhere near as cool as you think it is. Plus, you've dealt with more than enough cocky people today, though your cousin's nowhere near on the same level of headache-inducing madness. So, are you feeling any better now? A little bit. Again, sorry for ranting at you like that. It's alright, I know I deserved it. No, you didn't. It's not like it's your fault that you... The gazelle turns the other way, stopping himself right before he could mention your demise again. Well, you get the point. Just because I was mad and sad doesn't mean you have to suffer for it. Another great way to welcome you back after all this time. It's okay. I forgive you. You aren't to blame for any of this. Either, sorry. Not even for how you reacted. How had I been in your shoes, I likely would have done the same. The two of you smile at each other, relieved that the worst has already passed. Maybe you can put all those fears and regrets behind you at last and talk about something that isn't depressing or emotionally draining for a change. George is the first to try and change the subject to a more lighthearted one. So, how's your life been in the past few weeks? Anything big happened? Other than the whole turning into an android thing, of course. Not really, you tell yourself. Past few days aside, the rest of your life so far in this new body has been fairly uneventful. In fact, there's more memories of those early days you'd like to forget than recall. Well, there are a few things I could mention, but they're all pretty recent. And besides, there's probably more interesting stuff you want to hear about first. Really? Like what? Well, for example, all of a sudden something begins ringing in George's pocket, surprising you both. As he asks you to wait patiently for a second, he takes out his phone from his back pocket and pulls it closer to his ear. Hi Mom, what's up? What's up, dog? You hear an intrusive female voice coming from the other side of the call, but it's too low for you to understand anything it says. Yeah, I'm doing fine. You guys alright? Aren't you supposed to be at that seminar right now? Oh, you got another alert for that. Wow, that's the third in a week. Let me go check. Her cousin struggles not to laugh as he starts loudly stomping his hooves around, likely in an attempt to fool his mother into thinking that he's actually heading someplace else. You have to admit, he can be pretty funny when he wants to be. Yeah, the temperature in the kitchen is way colder than it should be. Seriously, what is even going on with this place's AC? No, of course I didn't touch anything. He gives you a playful wink and a coy smile as he continues conversing with his mother. No, don't worry, I'll be fine. I was hanging out in my room anyway, and the temperature is fine there. Yeah, we really should have someone look at Sharon soon. It's been acting up ever since we got here. Some piece of junk it turned out to be. After a few seconds, the boy begins to slowly collapse against the couch as he turns his gaze to the ceiling, clearly annoyed by something she said. No, I didn't say that to... sorry. On the weekend, gotcha. Well, take care. Have fun at that seminar. Without much care, he unceremoniously ends the unexciting call and almost lets his phone crash into the floor as he childishly makes it fall into the sofa. Or whatever. God, just so... Again, he sighs, putting his arms behind his head in an attempt to relax and calm himself down. I assume that diversion in the kitchen is how you managed to save me from Sharon earlier, somehow. The gazelle slightly turns his head to look at you as he calmly answers her query. Yeah, it's something I figured out over the past few weeks. If you cause a mess in one part of the house, drawing Sharon's attention, and then cause another somewhere else, the AI completely forgets about the first. All I had to do was freeze some stuff in the kitchen, cause a few alarms to ring, and all of a sudden, it's like that intruder in the porch that doesn't even exist anymore. You feel a little embarrassed upon hearing the word intruder. It makes you feel like some kind of criminal. Which you probably would be were not for that weird loophole Mary mentioned earlier on in the day. However, this doesn't mean you'll be spared from any consequences if someone does find out you've been here. All you can do is hope your relatives don't catch onto you and... your relatives don't catch onto you and onto your cousin. You know, one day you're gonna have to tell your parents about your ability. The two of you stare at each other silently and seriously. For a moment, it feels like the entire world has stopped. But it doesn't take long for both of you to crack, and the laughter that comes spewing from your mouths after that is almost enough to totally eclipse the sobbing from earlier. Yeah, right. I'd sooner tell them I smoke weed on the weekends. You don't actually do that, do you? Of course not, but if I did, I definitely wouldn't be telling them. Weed jokes aside, it's probably best not to let your parents find out about your powers, or anyone for that matter. The thought of your cousin's secret being revealed to the world always managed to make your heart skip a beat back when you still had one. His powers tend to get out of hand quickly when his mental state isn't at its best, and his tendency to use them for fun when he thinks nobody will find out is troubling. That alone is cause enough for worry. I mean, not that I disagree with you, but like, what could they even do if they found out? I'm a literal superhero. I can freeze stuff and generate ice from my fingertips. What's the worst that could happen? Where do you want me to begin? Probably from the fact that he'd be detained, interviewed, and tested non-stop for about a month if that happened, and that is assuming he comes clear about it before he's found out. You hear Natalie's voice suddenly interrupt your train of thought and the whole conversation up until now. Nats, I'm pretty sure he can hear you. Oh dear, he can. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Who's that? Ever inquisitive and suspicious, George leans forward towards you as he tries to ascertain the identity of the girl who somehow spoke from within you. This is Natalie. She's my helper and my friend. She was appointed as my handler yesterday and she's been more than reliable ever since. If only a little clumsy, I didn't even know she could speak out loud like that, to be honest. The Labrador sounds deeply embarrassed as she explains her mistake. Yeah, I can use the same microphone that you do in order to speak, though it wasn't my intention to do that just now. You were eavesdropping on us? If before she was embarrassed, now Natalie sounds downright mortified. No, I mean yes, but it's kind of my job to follow Isaac around, so... As much as she tries to apologize or explain herself, her cousin remains both unconvinced and deeply troubled. Truth be told, you're a little unsettled as well. You'd completely forgotten she was even there, lost in your conversation as you were. Something about it just rubs you the wrong way, though you don't know exactly what. Hoping to get rid of this awkward feeling Natalie casts on your group, you try to get back to where you were before you were suddenly interrupted. You were saying about George's ability, I mean. Oh, right. He was asking what would happen if they find out about it. Well, after that whole getting arrested and detained thing is done and over with, most ability users find a regulated job in some venture or another. Sorry, some dude is driving real fast outside of the suburbs. They usually end up doing something that involves using their abilities' economical applications for profit. So what, I'd be forced to create ice sculptures for rich people's galas for the rest of my life? Ah, lame. The alternative is military school, of course, or a life of confinement in some high-security prison or facility. Wait, what the heck? That's beyond lame. That's totally messed up. You have to agree. You already knew of ability users having more difficult lives than most others, but this is insane. You've got to be kidding. Is it really that harsh? You didn't know? Natalie sounds genuinely surprised by her reaction, much more than you thought she'd be. No, of course not. You never looked that up or anything? What was I gonna do? Go around and start asking random questions about abilities all of a sudden? At some point, someone would have figured out that either I or someone I hung around with had one, and we all know what would have happened next. So you chose to stay in the dark in order to protect your cousin? Natalie's voice softens up as she realizes the reason behind your actions, while George becomes colder as he suddenly makes another query. Are you gonna tell my parents about me then? Tell the police? Both you and your helper are stunned as you listen to your cousin's question. Of course not, right, Natalie? After a brief pause, you hear Natalie's reassuring voice speak kindly to her cousin. It's like Isaac said, I won't. Your secret is safe with me, George. And look at that, our house dog, family dog is barking. Who's outside, man? Nothing. Natalie's promise bounces right off the gazelle's ears, and that look of distrust on his face still hesitates to disappear entirely. It'd probably be best if you took over instead. Don't worry, George. Natalie's my friend. She's not gonna betray your trust. Your cousin still appears to have some difficulties trusting the Labrador's words, but he at least attempts to believe yours. If you say so, okay, Sandra, calm down. She's like barking. So, noticing this, Natalie suddenly tries to speak once again, hoping to be of some assistance. Is there anything I can do to help? Anything at all? No, it's fine. You're good. George responds swiftly and concisely, which is enough to tip you off that he isn't being totally honest. Your helper appears to realize this as well, hence why her answer is equally as short. Right. Either way, I'll get back to work. Sorry for intruding. And with that, off she goes again. You feel like you're slowly getting used to all this dipping in and out of hers, though it's hard to be certain. A brief silence follows that exchange as both you and your cousin stare at each other with an uncertain look in your eyes. Are you sure you're alright? Yeah, totally. You don't look alright? Yeah, it doesn't look alright, man. More silence, only interrupted by a long sigh coming from the gazelle's tiny nostrils. Look, More sighing, whatever he's keeping to himself, he doesn't seem too keen on sharing it with you. Sometime afterwards, George suddenly stands up and starts staring at the wall on the opposite side of the room without real reason. He scratches the back of his horn as he silently wonders what to say. When he does turn to face you again, the look in his eyes is less sad and more apologetic. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like bringing down the mood, really. What? That's not... Look, that's not important right now. If something's bothering you, we can just... Nah, don't worry, it's just me being weird again. I mean, with you here after all this time, I should probably try to cheer up or something. Can't let myself get hung up on meaningless stuff. But... Your cousin lightly shakes her arm and tries to at least in order to grab her attention. He still looks a little unsure, but is trying his hardest to smile right now. I'm bored. You wanna play some ping pong? Some ping pong? Yeah, like old times, you know? Welcome you back with a fun game and all that. You make as if to rebut and bring the conversation back to George's insecurity, but ultimately decide against it at the last minute. After all, maybe he's right. Maybe you both could benefit a lot from having some fun instead of mulling over the same things over and over again. Alright, I'm game. Now let me just... You briefly scout your surroundings but find no surface into which you could play a game like ping pong, or any other tabletop game for that matter. I don't see any tables lying around. Though I suppose that doesn't concern you. Yup, leave it to me, Isaac. I'll show you what I've been practicing in the past few months. The gazelle bolts from the couch and walks up to the middle of the living room, leaving you behind to quietly observe his work. He closes his eyes as he concentrates on his breathing, which causes the air around him to become colder and colder. As he calls upon his powers, you see his hair growing whiter by the moment. An eerie light blue mist emerges from the floor before him, coalescing into a thick pillar that is about 3/4 his height. A few moments later, the top section of the pillar begins to expand horizontally, becoming more or less rectangular over time. You can't pinpoint the exact moment where the mist somehow melts together into hard ice, as you're too busy smiling at your cousin's prowess and ingenuity. I'm pretty impressed. You've come a long way from those small statues you used to make as a kid. The gazelle's hair returns to normal as you approach him. When he turns around to look at you, you notice that his expression looks quite annoyed. Oh, don't remind me about those. I hate those crappy crystals. Come on, don't be like that. Remember when you gifted me one for my birthday and it melted as soon as you left my house? Oh my god, don't make me remember. It's so stupid. It wasn't stupid, it was nice. I love that gift. For the 2 minutes you had it. With a warm smile on your face, you approach a gazelle and his creation from behind, interested in seeing it from up close. The table is far from perfect, with many stalactites of ice having formed underneath the flat surface of the table and threatening to fall off at any moment. At least the playing field seems even enough. He also already added a net of sorts while you weren't looking. Although it's literally just a wall of ice separating the two sides of the table, you take a good look at it as you lay your gentle hand on your cousin's shoulder. I loved it for far longer than 2 minutes, George. In fact, I still love it to this day. Even if I can no longer hold it in my hands, as it melted. As you turn to face your cousin, you notice he too is now smiling faintly and softly, though he's trying his hardest to hide it from you. Wow, that almost makes me feel bad. Feel bad for what? Oh, you know. He then brazenly hands you what looks like a small racket and a ball, both made of ice, as well as a poo-eating grin you spreads across his face. Kinda makes me feel bad over what I'm about to do to you. You lightly shake your head and cackle as you head to the other side of the table, eager to show this young man his place. Well, someone's getting ahead of himself. Alright. As you're walking, you take a good look at the tools he handed you, especially that peculiar looking ball. It almost looks like it's made of pure crystal, even though the cold emanating from it suggests otherwise. The weight seems about on par with a traditional ping pong ball, though you wager it's much harder to chip or crack. Interesting. As you worry over the possibility of it accidentally hitting George square in the face, your cousin cannot resist the urge to taunt some more. You know, it's such a shame I gotta kill you at this game so soon after you came back to life. You sure are feeling cocky, huh? You don't remember what happened the last time we played this game at my place. I don't, and I'd be glad if you didn't remind me of that either. Besides, it got way better since then. You have no hope of winning against a tennis ace like me now. We're playing ping pong. Same thing, now serve the ball already. You sigh one last time as you get in position, wondering just how much you should restrain yourself against your younger cousin. Ultimately, you don't give it much thought. You just slam the ball as normal as you can, watch it bounce twice on the table, then fall on the floor as George fails to catch it. Hey, no fair, I wasn't ready. Sure, whatever you say. Without warning, George conjures a new ball in his hand, then slams it as flatly as he can. This time, it's you who fails to catch the sphere. After hitting the ground, it bounces off towards the kitchen, not leaving a single puddle in its wake. Ha! Take that, Isaac! You don't even have time to be mad, worried as you are. Shouldn't we grab those balls and keep reusing them instead of conjuring new ones every time? What if you accidentally slip on one? Don't worry, I'll just get rid of everything as soon as we stop playing. You make an important note in your head about that, which you really hope you won't forget. As you do so, George throws another ball at you, inviting you to be the next one to serve. Shouldn't the one who scores a point be serving? It's not like it matters. We can just say it's the house rules or whatever. And here you thought this little competition would be a little more serious. Though you can't say you have a problem with that either way. The next few rounds play out a little more evenly, with plenty of exchanges before the ball drops one way or the other. Between a throw and another, the two of you make some idle conversation. Say, do you still dream about going to space and stuff? The gazelle gives you an odd look as he prepares to serve. Why are you asking me that now? I don't know. Just felt like it, I guess. Haven't really had time to keep up with that between everything that went on and, everything that happened afterwards. The young boy gives a stray look to the ceiling before mildly answering your query. Still working on it. You mean on finding a way to get there? Yeah. A new round begins in the midst of this somewhat slow conversation, forcing you two to slow the game down a little in order to follow it. It'd be easy if you wanted to become a scientist or something of the sort. But then I'd have to study a lot. Isn't that true for most dreams? Maybe, but is that the only way? Not really. You can study. That's the safest way. Or you can find someone who can teach you, be an assistant. You give your cousin a curious look as you send the ball bouncing his way again. What do you mean? Every time I brought up this stuff to mom and dad, they just use it as an excuse to tell me to study harder. I get it, knowledge brings you places. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But then you take a look at someone like me and you're like, how's that guy even supposed to get there? You hesitate to answer, knowing full well why he'd ponder a question like that. I'm not good when it comes to studying. The more time I spend on a book, the less I understand. I know my parents would kill me if they heard me say it, but at this point, I don't even know how I'm gonna get through high school. Hey, don't worry about that. You won't fail with me around. You won't fail with me around to help you, I promise. Even if that were true, we both know I'm not college material. I'm never gonna get a degree no matter how much those two are gonna pester me for it. Again, you remain silent as the ball quietly bounces off the table next to you. Does that mean I'll never get to go to space? Of course it doesn't. But then, where there's a will, there's a way. As long as you're determined to do something and fight for it with everything you have, you'll accomplish your goals one day. Besides, if you need proof that the impossible is anything but, just look at me. If I could survive past my own death, surely even you can find a way to get to space. The gazelle laughs at your morbid words of encouragement, once again scratching the back of his horns as he regrets bringing these fears up. Sorry, I guess I can't stop myself from ruining the mood even while playing. Okay. Don't apologize. If anything, I'm to blame for bringing this stuff up in the first place. You grab a crystal ball off the floor, which had somehow neither bounced too far away from you nor melted, and start tossing it up and down in your hand. How about we talk about something a little more exciting while we play instead? Like what? Well, have I told you about that time I kicked the crap out of 3 thieves who jumped me in the middle of the night? I guess that's a story for another episode, everybody. I'll be seeing you in the next episode of No More Future and some other video. But yeah, stay safe, good luck, subscribe, like, comment, share to friends and loved ones. Bye!